you're not winning, then you could only be losing. And losing is never something that you want to do.
Gilbert have the best mentality.
A lot of people say he's one of the best players in the game.
Gilbert is the backbone of the team.
One of my good friends.
This is the man who you watched him from the beginning just evolve into the person he is today.
His ability is unparalleled.
The most dominant team to ever play in console esports history.
The main thing is really just living in the moment. Don't take things for granted. We could wake up tomorrow and this could be all over.
Every single tournament, we go out there and we give it our all.
The objective is to pretty much build a brotherhood. They're playing for the person on their left and the person on the right.
Being at the top, you have this feeling that you're always being watched, like everyone wants to take you down.
I'm on the game basically 24/7. It's just all dedication.
Right now, I'm just living the dream of playing Gears of War. I have no regrets, and I'm here to dominate.
I'm trying to achieve a goal and trying to prove people wrong.
It's about winning.
Let's go, man!
Gilbert is the in-game leader for Optic Gaming.
His reputation in Gears of War is really up there.
I think right now he's the best player in Optic, and 100% without him, they won't be nothing.
He's the best player in Gears 4 in my opinion.
I don't think I'd ever say this about another player, but it's undisputable.
Gilbert is your team captain,
the leader, the in-game support system.
Gilbert is the guy who you can always count on to get the job done.
You give them an inch, they're taking a couple of miles, not just one.
This is the guy who you always expect to come out and command the troops and lead them out to victory.
He can parse what's going on really quickly. He can understand where the other enemy team is. He understands where his team is, and he stays calm.
He was scouted a long time ago by Optic Gaming, come over to their franchise, and ever since then, he's become their most dynastic player for any of their franchises.
And it's that idea of discipline and having his team not get so focused on one little detail that they lose sight of the big picture. He's by far the best IGL, and I think everybody should sort of study how he plays if they want to be as good as him.
I was actually always the IGL for pretty much all of the teams that I've been on. And it's funny because like I never even realized that that's what I was doing or that's what my title was, because back then no one was considered a main slayer, no one was considered an IGL. Everyone was just kind of a player, you know? I always tried to do everything I could to win. And the one thing I noticed is like I hated whenever like other people would watch their teammates, and then if their teammate died or lost the situation, they would be like, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. And in my head, it's always like, why tell him like after the situation is already over with and be mad about it when you could tell him like while it's happening and maybe help him like be in a better spot. Jim?
Yeah, give me like 5.
Leading and calling things out is just kind of like natural to me. Whenever I don't do those things, I just feel like I'm being like a detriment to my team just because like why would I not do that, you know?
You 3, Kenny, that's 1B. Kenny, I'm gonna try to cross you, baby.
Being the captain of Optic is a great feeling. It's something that I was always accustomed to. I was always like leading players who, in my opinion, who have been better than me in terms of like individual skill and just like raw mechanic skill. So like being able to lead such great players with that caliber of talent, it's a good feeling knowing that they respect you and like the things that you say. Being the captain of this team specifically, it's great. Like we all get along with each other. We're all really good friends outside of the game. And I feel like the one thing we do really good compared to our past teams is when we get mad at each other like in game, that doesn't translate to me being mad at them as like a person. I'm not mad at Alex. I'm not mad at Billy. I feel like our team does a really good job of drawing that line just to make sure that we don't head in the same direction that our past rosters have. I was actually born in Manila in the Philippines. I moved over to America when I was 4 years old. We were kind of bouncing around back and forth for a little bit until my parents like got stabled and were pretty much like we ended up staying in a 2-bedroom apartment with my parents and my 3 other siblings. So 4 kids in total, and then mom and dad. Those early years, honestly, for me at least, it was kind of like a learning process because coming into this country, I spoke no English. Obviously, I literally didn't know anyone. I had to make new friends, but luckily for me, I did have a cousin that I did end up growing up with. We went to all the same schools. We kind of talked to the same people, so she was there for me a lot growing up. I actually picked up my first video game in the Philippines. My brothers, both of them, played a lot of StarCraft on the PC. And as a little kid, obviously, you're just curious about everything. So like every time I would watch them, I'm like, what are they doing? So whenever they weren't playing, I would kind of sneak onto the computer and try to figure out what I'm doing. And ever since then, I think I just fell in love with like the whole gaming aspect, I guess. I actually got introduced to Gears of War through my now brother-in-law. He actually bought the Xbox 360 when it first dropped, and Gears of War was one of the games that it came with. He actually wanted me to play that game just because like I was pretty good at Call of Duty, so he was like, oh, I wonder if he'll be good at this game. But I was like 9 years old at the time, so playing Gears of War 1, which is kind of like a darker, scary, and gory game, I kind of thought it was like I literally thought it was a horror game. Like, you know, I was playing campaign, I was chainsawing people, and whenever I was playing online, I was pretty much a bot at the time, obviously. Like, I didn't know what wall bouncing was, I didn't know what a strafe was, I didn't even know what competitive was. So I was just a casual gamer, just chainsawing people at one point, and I think I got a better understanding of how to play Gears of War when Gears of War 2 came out. And that's actually when I started playing Underground, which was like my first taste of like a competitive scene for Gears. Honestly, Gears is like a different game, especially when like you don't have like the mechanics mastered. Just looking at like Gears, if you don't know anything about it, like it just kind of looks like people just moving around. But once you look in depth into like the mechanics of the game, how distance work, how damage works, it's really complex, and honestly I feel like that's why like a lot of people feel like it's inconsistent, is because I feel like they really just haven't understood or tried to understand like why like things aren't going in their favor. Gears is a game where like if you get a kill, like you're not gonna feel like it was just given to you, like you feel like you earned it. Like, you know, in Call of Duty I feel like a couple bullets, like it takes like less than half a second to kill someone, like it's just like, oh, like you do that and it's over with. In Gears, fights can last from a second to 30 seconds. And obviously in a team fight, in situations like that, in a competitive environment, like it kind of gets intense. Cause like that whole time, like you're just locked in and like you're doing your most to not die and trying to help your team. You could literally tell like who gives up and who doesn't give up in game just based off of their character's body language. And I think that's what's great about this game. Once we found out that Optic Gaming was interested in signing us, at that point they could have offered us like a penny a month and we would have been like, yes, yeah, for sure, we're on board. That feeling was surreal. I think that was like a dream come true for all of us. I don't think that was anything anyone expected so soon. Them stepping in and kind of giving us a chance has really made a world of a difference for us. But as for Optic themselves, they've changed my lives in many different ways. I was always kind of like a bigger kid growing up. I was never skinny. I was never like, pretty much I was always overweight, right? So once I started getting those cameras on me and started getting those views, let me stop eating like so much rice every day. Let me start going to the gym, start getting active. I feel like that was a big part of like my motivation and why I wanted to improve myself and my health so much. When you sign with Optic, they'll take great care of you. We actually ended up moving out to Texas. I came from California. My teammates came from all over the place. We got St. Louis, Chicago, New York. I feel like they kind of take care of you in ways that other orgs don't. Like they make you feel like you're at home here in Texas. Because here in Frisco, we're always seeing each other around, whether it's around the apartments or like just running into each other like in public. It's a great feeling knowing that you're in this environment because like it kind of does feel like a college campus for esports. It's just comfortable, I guess, you know, to be able to relate with other people. My teammates are pretty much family to me, you know, and I feel like that's another reason why we work so well with each other and why we're so dominant is because we're not only doing this for ourselves. Like when we want to win for each other.
You have a ball too, champ. It's ripped up. Give me that.
Every Jordan has a Pippen. Every LeBron has a Wade. When it comes down to dynasty, you look at the star player, and there's someone on that supporting cast who has been there for that player. Gilbert's supporting cast has been mental.
We moved to Texas 2 years ago together, just him and I. And then this is before like the whole Optic like moved to Texas. And ever since that day, him and I, like, I guess we've been close.
It's funny because in the summer of 2017, me and him actually planned on moving out ahead of the schedule because Optic was planning on moving us out towards the end of the year, but me and him wanted to just kind of get out.
When we first moved to Texas, him and I lived together, obviously.
Because me and him actually both played in the living rooms. Like we didn't have our own rooms in our own houses. So we were like, all right, well, we should just get a 2-bedroom apartment and just call it a day. And that's exactly what we did. So for about 8 months, me and him lived in an apartment together just by ourselves.
And once we moved to our own apartments, I guess we just got like bored, I guess. And we're talking like, we should get a dog. Like, let's get some dogs, like him and I both. And we're actually looking at ads online and we saw these brothers, English Golden Retrievers. And so we started bargaining with the owner. They'll live together, like basically like live near each other. We actually still have those dogs, obviously.
Them two are brothers, Champ and Blue. At this point, me and him might as well be brothers. And now we're at this house together too, and I can't wait to see what else.
Everybody knows that they kind of go hand in hand with each other because they've always been teammates for a long time now, over 3 years at this point.
Throughout the past couple seasons, me and Billy have acquired 18 championships. Out of those 18 victories, I believe we only have 4 losses total. That's counting like the 4th place.
Well, him and I teaming together, we've only lost 2 championships, actually. 18 for 20, actually, I think.
I think for almost 2-3 years, me and him actually have appeared in every single grand finals in every Gears of War tournament ever hosted. On top of that, so when we're at home and not competing at LAN, we do have 2Ks every Sunday, and we've won over 95% of those, I would say.
Him and I, well, the longest teammates on this team right now, but Summons we've been on a team with for a while. Ash is his coach, but him and I together, like we've had 4 or 5 different teammates, and we always found out a way to win. So as long as him and I are a team, and I always feel like we're gonna have that way to win.
Every time they're on the battlefield together, they kind of ping off of each other. Mental can go absolutely crazy for a game, have a great stat line, and Gilbert kind of sits in the shadows, but Gilbert's facilitating that. Gilbert, to me, is like a great point guard for Mental. Whatever Mental needs him to do down on the blocks, kind of playing like a center, if he has to do a backdoor cut, Gilbert will figure out how to get that pass down low to him, let him get an easy kill off, let him get an easy shot off.
We've watched them since Gears of War UE come out and dominate the scene, online and offline, and they have got it done.
Gilbert has done the best job in the game of finding somebody who's not just highly skilled, he's highly intelligent, and there's no shaky hands coming out of mental. He knows exactly what he has to do, and he's calm at all times. His barometer stays around 50. It is unbelievable to watch those two guys be calm as cucumbers under the pressure.
Mental was your season 1 MVP, and rightfully so. Then this season, Gilbert's your MVP. And so next thing you know, you put those two together, that's one of the best duos you can have of all time.
All right, let me show you what I'm about to do to my car, Bill.
Did you get some for this?
Yes. I got a carbon fiber rear diffuser. It's in that box.
The fragile one?
And then, yeah. And then let me get a spoiler added onto this.
That'd be dope.
Side skirts right there at the bottom. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get black mirrors too. And I'm not sure if I wanna get stripes on it or if I wanna get it wrapped.
That's it. You can do like black stripe and then like line up with the wheel with the red one or something like that.
That's that red inside right there.
Sometimes like you mesh with someone and sometimes you don't, and like we just happen to mesh with each other.
My friendship with Billy, honestly, he's like a little brother to me. Like he has my back, I got his. Me and him have been damn near through it all with each other, especially when it comes to like team situations, because he has been my teammate since the beginning. Like, matter of fact, I've been teaming with Billy since my second event and his second event. Me and him both went to Hype 3. We were both 15 years old. Everyone thought he was the youngest just because of how he looks, but I'm actually, I think, 2 months younger than him on the dot. But ever since that first event that me and him didn't team, we've been teaming ever since, and our worst placement has been 4th place, and we've gotten that pretty much, I think, once. So outside of that one 4th place finish, every event that me and him have been to, we've either finished 2nd or we finished 1st, and all 18 of our championships, me and him have been on the same team with each other.
You gotta think about what these guys have been through, from losing their first event to coming out winning season 1 championships, to losing Vegas, to bouncing back, putting all those trophies under their banner. That's something special. You know, that's a bond that you build with somebody that you just cannot break. Especially in esports, you find somebody like that, you keep that player on your team whenever you can.
Living and working with Gilbert's, it's great, honestly. Like, he's a good friend, great teammate, like best IGL in the game probably, in-game leader. And not only that, but he's like a really good player as well. So it's been great working with him and being friends with him. He's always been there for me. I've always been there for him. So honestly, it's just been, it's been great.
And then after that, got a front lip right at the bottom. That's all I'm gonna do to like the outside of my car. And then after that, I gotta start working on the engine.
I like it. I like the vision.
Little balance there.
Like him not being there, I couldn't even imagine like how weird that would feel, because like it's just so, I'm so accustomed to that environment. Like I don't know, it would just absolutely be weird if me and him ever stopped teaming.
This state might have like the worst stoplights, I think.
They last like 5 minutes.
It's crazy.
There it is.
I mean, usually in our free time, which is like after scrims, because of the way our sleep schedule works, usually we just go to the gym like after, like around like 1 midnight.
Yeah, that's what we do for fun usually. Just the gym.
Just the gym.
Gym and game. That's what gamers do.
That's what gamers do in 2019 though.
What's this place called?
Tavern something. It's Italian.
You ever been there?
Nah, but it looks good.
Oh, Italian? That sounds like sauce. I don't know if I need sauce right now.
It looks good.
I just hope they have chicken Alfredo.
It's Tavern something. Oh, right here.
You be able to give me a boost? Yeah, I got you, bro. This thing's hella tall. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get buffalo shrimp with no buffalo. Think about it. If I
Is
get
Frank's
buffalo,
Red Hot the buffalo?
Yeah, it says buffalo.
so if I get buffalo, right? If I get buffalo,
I'll really get that with no Red Hot, like no buffalo.
What's the point of it then?
Just shrimp? What do you mean?
Shrimp and ranch.
I just can't let it touch my.
You don't like shrimp?
Gilbert's been able to scout people. He's a high-level NFL draft scout. He looks at them, figures out what their pros are, what their cons are, how they'll fit into his system. He never takes a player and says, I'm gonna change you to fit to what we do. He says, this is how I do it, and I need to figure out what fills in these gaps.
I think he's the best because like smarts, brains, and not only that, but like he can actually like play the game as well. So like a lot of these in-game leaders actually like they're on like the back lines, I guess, and they kind of just shoot for you kind of, and they just don't like get the job done like individually. But Gilbert can do it all, so it's like that's what makes him the best.
What I look for in my teammates, honestly, is pretty much the same mentality that I have. Obviously, we're all gonna have different play styles. Even if you look at my team now, if you took off our gamer tags, you could easily identify like who is who.
When he needed some people to play a little bit more support, he had players like Lava and Kenny Bounce around him. When he needed a little bit more slaying power, he went out and got an Icy. And then after Icy left and they got Praise and Solar, he's got 5 of the best to play this game right now on his team. And he says, look, if we just do what we do best, nobody can beat us. And that all comes from his brainchild. That's his vision of, this is what I wanted to create.
We all have the same mentality, but having such different play styles, like I feel like it's just overwhelming when people play against us, is because we all have that killer mindset. We all have that team mindset, like team comes first. And I think that's why we're so dominant.
He went out and got the 5 best players in the game to sit around him. Ashes stands behind him. Mastermind of the whole scheme, and Gilbert says, let's go do our thing like nobody else can do. And we all joked around. We kind of said it was like Thanos assembling his infinity gauntlet with all 5 of his infinity stones. He did just that.
I can't wait for a new game, bro.
That's what it is, literally.
Just a brand new game where the whole community is in. Jesus Christ.
What makes Optic unstoppable right now is 2 words: consistency and teamwork. Other teams have matched the teamwork they have, but they can't do it consistently. And that's why Optic always triumphs and beats everybody.
What do you guys think about Justice team?
I don't think they'll be around.
PS5 now?
No.
I don't even know who his team is right now, to be honest with you.
It's Kenny, God plays,
Sam,
Solo, Sam,
Cody.
I think he'll be good individually.
I don't think they'll stick it out for
Kenny's usually pretty good when the game comes out too.
It starts from the bottom, like he builds his way back up, so I think he'll come back around.
Imagine being in a street brawl and you're in between a circle of guys and they're all just punching you at the same time. That's what it feels like. Going up against Optic, you roll out of spawn and you're getting lancered from somewhere across the map. You're getting lancered in front of you and you've got a guy shotgunning in front of your face. And to beat that, it feels almost impossible, but it's not impossible. It's possible to do. It just feels impossible.
I think it's not even like a bad roster.
I think he's gonna join a team, to be honest with you. Like he's just gonna fill in a piece.
He's gonna bring back Envy, bro. With,
That'll be cool.
with Ribs.
That'll be cool.
No,
Toy?
Jordan.
With Jordan, Toy.
That's yeah. Gonna make your spot, right?
It's like a.
Hopefully. Like, yeah, it kind of has to, considering like it was escalation for almost 3 years. So, like they can't change.
I pretty much lead my team. I believe in them to believe in me that they'll listen to what I say. So I always tell my teammates, especially like the early teams, like when you're first starting the team, no matter what I say or no matter what anyone says on the team, like in terms of like shot calling rotations, the best thing you can do in any situation is just to listen. And if that rotation is wrong or if what he said like made you die, then so be it. But like it's better to do it and fail than not do it and fail anyway. You know, the best thing about this game is you could put yourself in a lot of bad situations, but because of like the skill that's involved and just a lot of teamwork going on, you could always get out, or pretty much every fight is winnable. You could have 1% health and you could kill 3 more people if the stars line up, honestly. But this is just one of those games where it's in your control, and the more chances you take, you just give yourself a higher chance of winning and being in control and setting that pace.
I wonder what kind of maps they're gonna have. Like,
I'm curious too.
it's an invitational, so you know there's definitely gonna be like 600.
I mean, we're first seed, so we gotta qualify.
I'd say at least 8. I'd say at least
probably
8.
like 8 teams.
There's probably gonna be like an LCQ
5v5
somewhere.
soon.
What do you guys think we should do against Danny's team?
Against Danny's team?
Yeah.
What we always do.
What'd you say?
Just
I mean, he's being in Swans ever.
Yeah.
Optic takes advantage of every opportunity you find. If there's any cracks in your armor, if they see any weakness whatsoever in your gameplay, they pounce on it. They're like a pack of hungry wolves. As soon as they can smell that blood, they jump on it and they feast on it for the rest of that game, and they make you pay for it better than anybody.
I feel what makes Optic play mad good and be like that, I feel is teamwork. That is the first thing, because they're a nice teamwork. Have the best leader in your team that is explosive. Another thing I always say, how the way they talk each other, the comms.
He's beating Brian a couple times.
Who beat us once?
You beat us on one map, right?
Who haven't?
Danny.
No,
You
what?
beat us on one map.
Oh wait, Danny wasn't even on that team that sent us home. He was on the team that won.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so what's the record against Danny?
He was.
We're undefeated.
That's a good point.
And having fun. I think that's what it is. Like having fun, enjoying yourself, being teammates, doing the right things, be happy, and just play the game. Like that's how I feel.
I mean, against that team now, like all we have to do is make sure we play our game and not theirs.
Just gotta slow play him.
So they're gonna be an invitational.
100%, yeah.
The European team?
EU's finest.
Justin's gonna be there probably, like his team.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Whatever.
He's probably gonna be with
Whoever his team
his new team.
At that point, yeah, probably.
I would give him props if he stays with the same team like that he has right
Same
now.
team?
Yeah.
Who else is gonna be at the invitational?
Probably Victor's team.
Victor?
Yeah, it's probably
Victor, Rise Nation.
That's Rise.
Yeah, if it is them.
I still think Rise is right now is like the second best team, so.
Yeah, I would agree with you, maybe.
Yeah.
I think when everyone is playing at their best, I don't think they're the second best team.
Like whenever I play Optic, I'm like extremely excited and won almost every event. I mean, my first event, when I seen Optic, I was kind of like overthinking. Obviously, all of them hit shots at the end of the day, but I feel like their chemistry is really strong. I feel like most people actually play different when they see Optic gamer tags.
I feel like whenever Rise is winning, like someone is just going off on their team, like one person, like
Yeah, true.
literally always one person.
I feel like it always has to be like Detox.
It has to be Detox, Avexes, or Victor. That's their options.
Pretty much.
And usually, if more than one of them is having an off game, they're getting blown out. Like,
When I see Optic gamer tags, I don't really feel any type of way. You know, we're all the same. It's all a video game. It's just, I feel like it's a mental thing. A lot of people play different against them. A lot of people are shaky against them. I don't really feel anything. At the end of the day, we're all human.
Oh, Yachty's gonna be there. Reciprocity, they're gonna be there.
Think they'll make a roster change?
Yeah.
Reciprocity
Yeah.
Still? I still think they
I
will.
feel like it's a forced team a little bit.
Especially
They
going to a
didn't
new
play
game.
they didn't play too bad in Boston. I mean.
Wait, weren't
The
they
fresh
trying to
start.
drop Rezic before Boston?
I think that was after Mexico. Yeah.
Mexico.
So I've heard, yeah.
I mean, that is before Boston, you know what I'm saying?
Are they trying to get Vic back too?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
They try to get Victor back. Yeah, that's back instead.
I wouldn't say Optic is unstoppable because we beat them before, but the thing is, you have to consistently be able to do it. So that's what we've been working on.
Kyle's team is just dysfunctional, really. Like,
Yeah.
ups
At
and
least
downs.
online.
They got back together one
Ups and
day.
downs.
Yeah.
I think online they're way too.
Crazy is, like on paper, like they should not be this
should not
bad.
be that bad,
They should
no.
not be
That
this
team's a
bad.
high school relationship. It's just like,
On paper, that team is the top 4 at worst. Like literally at worst.
Bro, look, they got shot, Kyle, Crash, like just them three right
good,
there.
yeah.
Like, they should have
I
at
don't
least
know.
win something. Like,
I guess they don't mesh
when
well.
they're full or something.
I see them making a change. I think they know it themselves too.
I think that whole team is split up.
But
Some of them group up with Kenny and Toady.
I think it's gonna be like a 3-1-1 split. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
What makes Optic unstoppable is the team chemistry and the trust that they have with each other. They listen to each other, and that's all that matters.
When I'm walking across main stage and they're across from me, you know, I have a lot of hate and anger and sense of a competitive standpoint.
Going a game versus Optic is like, you know, if you do something wrong, they will kill you. It's just like that.
It's one thing to be able to point and shoot, to be able to go out there and slay and get kills. It's one of the first traits that all players learn when they pick up the game. But it's more to that, especially when you start competing, especially when you want to win trophies. You have to have a 360-degree vision around a whole map. You need to know where your teammates are. You need to know where your opponents are, when the power weapons are coming up, who's dead, who's alive. You need to process all this information, and in the same sense, you need to be winning your gunfights, and you need to be the best teammate that you can be.
In pressure situations, sometimes thinking for yourself isn't good, and when you have teammates that you can think for them and you can guide them, that's what will bring you a championship, is having that trust in your teammates, and they have total trust in each and single one of the players on that team.
Some players can only do maybe one of those. Some players can do a few more. But then you got Gilbert on the other end, and he could do so many of those tasks at the same time. That's what makes him such a good IGL. And that's also what makes his teammates, respect him as a leader. They can go out there and they can focus on their tasks, but they know that if for some reason if they slipped up, Gilbert got their back, and he's gonna get them back on the right track.
I don't get nervous. I don't treat them any different from another team. What it's like going against them is just what it's like going against every other team. If people on my team listen and we all are combined together as one, they're just like anybody. They're humans. At the end of the day, they have flaws. You just gotta crack through those flaws.
The one thing that I feel like a lot of players do wrong is the mentality of getting better is just like they aren't thinking about themselves. Like, they're trying to improve their weaknesses, but they aren't working on their weaknesses. They're working on somebody else's weaknesses. They don't like to identify their weaknesses is probably problem number one. I feel like a lot of players aren't real with themselves. They don't know what they're good at. They don't know what they're bad at. Because obviously we all can't be perfect. Everyone has their flaws, and it's the same thing with gaming. Everyone's gonna have their strengths. Everyone's gonna have things that they're uncomfortable with. And I feel like that's what makes a great team, is like when you have a group of 6 guys, obviously coach included, and you bring that all into one team, if you aren't working around each other's strengths and weaknesses, then you're never gonna reach your full potential. I feel like the blame game is actually one thing that kind of hinders our community a lot. People don't know what their problem is. So if you don't know what your problem is, then you can't work on getting better. I haven't spent a day like this since I was in 8th grade.
So Optic is kind of the favorite every time out the gate. They're like the betting horse that's going to win every single time out of the gates. They're the highest betted up team. Everybody kind of picks them as their #1 overall, and it's almost expected. It's almost unspoken. When you go through your pools, you say, well, Optic's going to win this one, and you move on with life. You go to championship bracket, well, Optic will be in winners finals, and you move on with life. When they lose, it becomes this massive storyline, this big shock, because now we have to readjust everything. We have to look at how it actually happened, try to break it down, and see if there's going to be any changes in their next upcoming game.
The 5-time champions have been knocked off of their pedestal.
The 2 events that we dropped in Gears of War 4, first one being Mexico City in Season 1, that roster going into that event consisted of myself, Mental, Summons, Lava, and Justin Kenny. So going into that event, just practice in general for about 2 months before was just a little bit rough, because we had outside issues going on. We had family problems going on and just personal issues. So I feel like that built up frustration that comes from outside of the game. When we did end up practicing, it wasn't productive practice. We weren't getting better. We weren't even staying the same. In fact, we were getting worse. So I feel like as time went on, everyone just kind of got tired of being surrounded in that those bad vibes. And I remember going into that event, Justin had actually texted our manager Ashes saying that he didn't want to play with Lava the week before we got on our flights and went to Mexico. Honestly, the fact that we even got second that event was a surprise to me. We were probably the 3rd, 4th best team at that tournament. So the fact that we got second was just, it sucks, but it happens.
We always like to frame it as when Optic loses, it's something they didn't do as opposed to what their opponents did to them. And that kind of can be seen in the footage. When you go back and look at it, it's Optic had numbers here, Optic had the advantage here, and it's one of the only times you ever see them not take that advantage.
Honestly, losing in Vegas for me was probably the hardest loss I think I've ever had in my career. Just to think that I placed 4th. So both the matches we lost were on side stations. It didn't feel real. Coming off of a 3-4 event win streak, and then to lose at an event and both your matches are on side station, it's just I was like, did that really just happen?
For the first time ever, Optic Gaming placed outside of top 2.
And to top it all off, it was against teams that the whole team viewed as an easy match. And it wasn't even a close match, if I'll be honest. We were getting beat up bad. So the fact that we went out the way we did, and me and Billy got the worst placing in our careers, it was a rough time. I feel I was angry at myself because in that last match, when we played them, I felt I was playing really good, which is why I was mad at myself, is because I felt I was playing so good, but I didn't do enough. I wasn't involved in the major team fights. I was just kind of watching my teammates die, and that sucks, especially when you're having a good game, because I don't want to feel I tried my hardest to not feel it was my teammates' fault. I don't want to be oh, my teammates are just losing this for us. I got mad at myself for pretty much not putting myself in the shoes of making an impact. I wanted to make it so that we won because of me or lost because of me.
Favorite player! I'm your favorite player!
In Vegas, we did have a team conversation after we lost the first time. I felt we did a good job of trying to get back on track. But after we had lost, I don't think we had any conversations. We literally took a break, didn't talk to each other for 2-3 weeks.
Everyone in this game has an ego, right? Well, not Gilbert, explosives. Basically, people are two-faced in here, Gilbert's nice, chill, and cool when I met him. But explosive is I don't know, sometimes when I go in his stream, not his stream, but Alex's stream, let's say they lose, Gilbert's tweaking,
I feel that pressure from myself the most, if I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I hate losing, and now, now that I really think about it, winning all this much, that's just gonna boost how much I hate losing 10 times. And even now, whenever we lose scrims or online tournaments or anything like that, you're never gonna not hear me rage or be angry, right? Just because I don't ever want to get used to the feeling of losing. That's not something I want to get used to. Another thing I've had a lot of people tell me is that I don't know how to lose. When we are losing, a lot of people tell me that I do a bad job of keeping myself. But then again, you shouldn't know how to lose. You shouldn't be good at losing. I'm great at winning. I'm great at winning, and people tell me that. When we're winning, I look like I'm the happiest human alive, right? But when we're losing, I turn into Mr. Grumpy real quick.
They're the best team at getting an inch and taking a mile. Every time they lose, it looks like a fluke because you're they never do this. This isn't them. This is out of character. This is not who they're supposed to be. And they go through, and you can look at the overhead map and say, well, they had numbers on this side of the map. Why didn't they push? Nobody knows. Maybe it didn't get called out. Maybe somebody said it and nobody else reacted to it. But for me, it's always a fluke because it's just stuff that's so out of character for them. It's like watching a well-oiled offense somehow fumble the ball on the 1-yard line.
So many people has asked the question, how do you beat Optic Gaming? How do you beat Gilbert's team?
Short answer?
How you beat Optic is how you would beat any teams in sports, how you would beat Golden State in basketball or how you would beat the Patriots in football. You just don't think about it.
Let's get ready. The rematch between Rise and Optic.
You need to start off strong against Optic. If you don't, then you're probably gonna lose regardless.
You have to be at the top of your game. You can't have a bad game.
Reciprocity, unbelievable.
You have to slay out, you have to play smart at all times because they're just as good, you know, and they're champions. So you have to show them that you could take them down and take it to them and don't respect them at all.
And don't overthink. Don't look at their past accomplishments. Don't treat them as robots. Trust in your skill. Trust in your teamwork that you put in with your team, and everything will pay off. Just don't overthink.
You need to have top-level teamwork to even contest with them. And on top of that, you need to shut down their individual plays. If you're matching their teamwork and not giving them the individual moments to have 1v2s or, you know, just get 2 kills that they shouldn't, then you have a very good chance of beating them.
They revolve a lot around Gilbert, and I feel like if you shut down Gilbert, you shut down the team. And that's how I feel like you have to attack Optic. You know, you shut down Gilbert, you shut down Billy, and everybody else is easy.
If you let Explosive doing something and you're not seeing him, he will do a play in another part of the map. Like, you have to be watching him, knowing what he's doing.
Dennis has been going off.
So when you have them, you just have to close the map. Like, when you actually have them, you just have to go and chase them, actually hunt them, and close the game.
If you're not letting Mental do mental things and Gilbert do Gilbert things, then you're gonna win. But that's way easier said than done.
They're that unstoppable team everybody makes them out to be, but when you're beating them and you see them getting frustrated, you know, you're happy. So it's like a twisted type of evil mental state, I guess you could say.
One thing about that roster is that, you know, they may take the foot off the gas, but they come back even harder. It's just a testament to their work ethic. Something goes wrong, they're gonna put the work outside the game, then they're gonna put the work inside the game, and they're gonna come back better than ever.
You cannot look at them as Optic Gaming. You cannot give them, I don't wanna say the respect they've earned, but you can't look at them as kind of the Mount Rushmore of our game. You've gotta go in, they're player A, B, C, and D, and E. You've gotta look at them like 5 random people. Because if you go in there and you go, Mental's coming at me, Explosive is coming at me, you will shake because they've won so many championships. They've become the mythos. You can't let the legend of Optic Gaming beat you before you even pick up the sticks. You've got to sit down and be ready to punch them in the middle of the ring in round 15 for the KO, the knockout, and the heavyweight championship belt. You can't let them beat you before you even get in that fight.
I mean, I used to see them like that, though. I'm not saying I never did. When I was an amateur, you know, scrimming against them, playing them like second round of the 2K. Now, when you actually get used to scrimming them and stuff like that, it's just another team that's really good, but they're beautiful. You just have to, you know, set the tone early. Like people say, you just gotta start off strong, start off from the right foot. And once you guys are doing that, you guys have to, you know, bring your teammates up, you know, like be confident, hype each other up, you know, gas each other up, saying you're the best and everything like that. Make your teammates feel good so they know that, you know, you guys are there to win. You guys really want to win. You guys are able to beat them.
It's all about us. It's never really about them. If we do what we have to do, we don't focus more so on their gamer tags and their accomplishments, and we focus on us, and they're beatable. They've lost before.
I give to you your Boston champions, Optic Gaming.
It's pretty obvious that nobody's been able to crack that code. We've talked a lot about how it's been flukes when they've lost. We've spoken on the fact that you look at them doing out of character things and they end up losing because they don't play to their own game. So of course, whatever code it takes to crack them, whatever it could take to beat them, if there's some special strat, if there's some trick play to do to get them off their game and beat them finally, it hasn't happened because they've never given you the opportunity for you to figure that out. Every time they've lost, it's been on them. It's been about what they've done and not what you have done.
It's understandable because he knows that they're the best team in the game. They should not be losing. I don't really see them like a threat, in my opinion. Optic is very beatable. I just see them as other players. I feel like everybody needs to see them like that, though. Because if not, then you're probably not going to win at all. At the end of the day, you got to hit a shot. And Optic's the best team in the game. You just got to start off right.
Being a team that's so consistent, so dominant, sometimes you take your foot off the gas a little bit, but it's something that they got to watch out for. Because even in Gears 5, if they get complacent, we've seen that's how they've lost before. And it's people who are hungry, might be more hungrier than them now. And they're gonna have to come out and they're gonna have to show that, hey, we were good in UE, we were good in Gears 4, and we're gonna be damn good in Gears 5.
As long as we like adapt our game, we should be fine.
Literally, simply.
Open minds.
We just gotta like not go into the like Gears 5 thinking it's Gears 4.
Yeah.
Like, you feel me? Like,
Yeah, like a
we
fresh
can't.
start,
Yeah, like we can't go in there doing the same exact thing that
Literally
we
just
did in this
expect it in
game.
It's gonna be a habit though. Not gonna
It's
lie
gonna
to
be
you.
a habit, but that's how you grow new ones.
Patience, We're not gonna be able to practice,
Yeah.
right? Before the Gears 5 event?
No, we will. I think we're gonna be there a couple days before the tournament to scrim, like.
Just to
like
get
in
the
there.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how Call of Duty did their thing, like
should be
before, like.
I still see us being as.
That's gonna be nerdy.
If anything, I think this is gonna be our like.
That's gonna be the craziest
we're gonna
3
be best.
days.
I think that's where we're gonna be at best. Though.
Yeah.
I think so too.
When the game comes out and people don't have time to prepare
Yeah, like
for
we
it.
have more brains too. So
We like thrive in chaos. We just
that.
have like good natural teamwork. You guys shoot for each other really well, so.
Yeah, we actually like each other.
Yeah. Are we the only team that actually likes each other other than Rise?
I think so.
Rec? What about Rec?
I actually respect Rise.
I don't think Rag actually like likes each other though.
No, they like each other.
And when you drop Rezik?
I think a couple of them do. Yeah.
But
They play pub together all the time.
I think Rise is loyal. I think Rise is #2 loyal
Yeah.
team for sure. Good vibes only.
Okay, if you think about it, like we have to put on a show for the stream, like the people watching, like
Gears 5?
like that invitational event, because that event's gonna like determine like imagine being a spectator and never playing the game before,
First impression.
and you're sitting there watching the game. Like,
Yeah.
That's not shit
We
to
gotta
them.
put on a show outside of the game
That's what
too.
we do though.
We
Really.
gotta be entertaining. Everyone
that
has to be.
weekend. Hit that start streaming button.
Oh,
That's the hardest part.
that is.
Yeah,
Hitting that
it's
button.
like going to gym.
I'll stream on LAN. You
It's a
banned.
whole different.
Yeah, you guys forfeit first map. Explosive was streaming the whole time.
You're just streaming from your Xbox.
We're doing listening. Moons, thanks for the resub. I mean, that's about it. This tournament should be easy as long as, like I said, as long as we don't go into this game expecting it to be like Gears 4, like UE, Gears 3, like pretend it's a new game because that's literally what that's what it's gonna be.
It'll
Like,
be like us playing Forge in
it's
Mexico.
gonna be fun,
Yeah.
bro. Like this new game, bro. It's like we need a new game, bro. It's been 3 years.
Yeah,
and we
nice,
need
like,
we need this
refresher.
game.
For me, it's important to keep winning because if you're not winning, then you could only be losing, and losing is never something that you want to consistently do. You know, like if you want to consistently do anything, you want to consistently win. As a competitor, I've actually heard a couple times where people tell me like, "Oh, it's boring watching you. Like everyone knows it's gonna, like what's gonna happen, blah blah blah." But I love hearing that. I love hearing that like you know that like our team is gonna win, because like that as a competitor, that's what you shoot for. That's the level that you want to be on, and knowing that a lot of fans feel like that, and even most like competitive players feel like that. I feel like we really just have this game just by our hands and it's in our control. I 100% feel pressure to stay on top. Being at the top, you kind of have like this feeling that you're always being watched, like everyone wants to take you down, you know? Honestly, that's just motivation for myself and my teammates. We know that like it doesn't matter what they do, it matters what we do, and it matters that we play our game and we set the pace.
all right, well, on that note, we got like 3 hours till scrims, so let's get home, watch some VOD, and get ready.
Sounds good.
All right.
It comes down to one player having a heart, having a hunger to say that, hey, I want to be the best. It takes one player so strong in his purpose, so driven, who just want to be the face of Gears Esports, to come out and put out more work than them. You're gonna have to work twice as hard than Optic Gaming to take their spot. You got to, because they've already got the accolades. They got the history. When the team is that comfortable, they have so much confidence over everyone else. So you gotta ask yourself, how do I match that energy? How do I get that same confidence?
Early season 1 and then early season 2, you saw a lot of people feed into that hatred, feed into that energy and that momentum. The reason they look bored with it sometimes is because nobody's feeding into that energy anymore. If you sit there and you're quiet and you're calm and you don't feed into it, they've got nothing to do. They kind of get bored with themselves because all 5 of those guys, they have an emotional meter on themselves. And the more energy you give them, the harder it is to beat them. But if you don't give them any energy and you kind of let them be in their own lanes, they're unstoppable. You've got to try to get them flustered, get them off their game, get them off kilter. I personally love to watch it. I think it's built a dynasty. It's built a heel for our industry. It's somebody that everybody can gather around and hate at some level. It's, man, these guys keep winning. We got to stop them from winning. We got to become that team that knocks the Kings off the throne. And it's built this dynastic opportunity for us to say, look at them. They're better than everybody. Who's going to knock them off?
You can't be scared of them. You gotta be ready to fight. You gotta be ready to go blow for blow. You gotta be ready to outstrat them. You can't run, you can't play to their pace. You gotta set the pace. You gotta be with your teammates. You guys gotta decide, hey, what is our goal? What do we want for our squad? Who are the type of players that we wanna be? Once the team figures that out, then they have to have a heart to go out there and work together, to have teamwork, and to want it more than them. And there's gonna be some rounds in which they lose. And when they lose those rounds, they can't get down on themselves. They can't fold over. They can't give up. They got to say, hey, you know what? That was a nice punch, but I got one better for you. And they got to go out there and they got to deliver that. And they got to do it over and over again until they get it done and learn from their mistakes. It's going to take a resilient roster to do this, but I believe it's somebody out there who can.
They are so good. Like, they are so good. And you really, when you have the choice, you have to beat them. If they kill you, it's because they kill you. You know, you're not gonna be like, oh my God, I did this wrong. Now what is gonna happen? No, you have to keep pushing. You have to look going forward. I'm going to show the world that a Latin American team can beat Optic and can take the trophy.
I'm going to take down Optic and I'm going to bring home a trophy for my mom.
I'll be the one to take down Optic. Watch out, Gilbert.
Gilbert may have dropped me, but I'm going to be the biggest mistake he's ever made.
Gilbert, I'm coming for you.
Bring it on. You guys have been trying for years and years to take us down. Honestly, myself and my team are just hoping you guys put up a somewhat of a fight, make it hard for us, make it interesting, because these past couple of events have been really boring, so good luck. You're gonna need it.
Before the pro circuit, my life was in routine. I would just go to school and come home and play Gears of War.
I was skeptical at first. When they called me and they explained things to me, that I had to sign things, that he's gonna be doing trips and he's gonna go to tournaments, that's when I was like, okay, this is something that is real.
I first noticed Vic as a player when I had no choice but to notice him.
I think Vic's potential is endless.
With every Gears, there'll always be a new, younger audience that gets to experience Gears for the first time.
Just thinking about me being in the coalition is just kind of like a dream.
He's 16, he's got so much to learn, and he's already doing the things that he's doing.
It was really fun to be one of the first pro players to play Gears 5.
If he keeps on the same track that he is now, I wouldn't be surprised if he were to be the best player in the world.
That game is going to be all about me. In Gears 5, I'm going to just be unstoppable.
It's Gears of War 5. It's a game that nobody's seen yet. We've done so many things to make it better. You're really going to want to tune in and see it.